All right, Vivian, welcome to the Naples International Film Festival in Naples, Florida. For our viewers at home who have not seen your film, kind of tell us a little bit about it without giving away too many spoilers.
Sure. Scrap is a family dramedy about brother and sister, and I play the sister, and my estranged older brother in the film is played by the incredible Rapp. And the film is, it's a story about reconciliation. My character at the beginning of the movie has recently been laid off and is living in her car and hiding that from her brother, and he and his wife are going through IVF. So it's sort of about how these two characters come together and heal each other.
Where did the inspiration for the story come from? And the story is really solid. It's relatable to a lot of brothers and sisters, but also to a lot of couples and stuff. So where did the story inspiration for it come from?
I have one older sister, and we're very, very close. And so I've always really been interested in movies about siblings. Like, I love You Can Count on Me, the Kenneth Lonergan film. So I always wanted to do a movie about siblings. And then I'd noticed my neighborhood in Hollywood had changed a lot in the last decade. A lot more people were living on the sidewalk in tents, sleeping in their cars and RVs. And I wanted to do a movie about that topic, but I wanted to approach it from a slightly different angle. So the movie is essentially about my character Beth is sort of an every woman, like a middle class woman who gets fired or laid off, and the bottom just kind of drops out. And so you see her at the very beginning of her sort of descent into that world. And I hadn't seen a movie like that before.
Talk to me about your casting. Your cast is very strong, some recognizable people. So how did you pick your cast, and what was their reaction to the script when they read it?
Well, luckily, Anthony had done the short film version. We had shot that back in 2018 as sort of a proof of concept. And then when I was writing the feature script, I was writing it with him in mind, because when we met and we worked together on that short, I felt like it was perfect. Like, I completely believed him as my brother. We had the exact dynamic that I'd pictured when I had the idea for the film. So I was incredibly lucky that when we sent his reps the feature script and he read it, he liked it and wanted to do it, because I don't know what I would have done. There would have been a lot of rewrites if he didn't want to do it. And then the other supporting cast, we had casting directors who helped us find them. So Lana plays Anthony's wife, my character's sister-in-law in the movie, and we got so lucky that she wanted to do the film because it was such a small little indie, and she's used to working on these huge television series. So the fact that the script spoke to her and she wanted to tell the story of a woman going through IVF was such a benefit to me as a director, because her performance is incredible.
You said that you did this originally as a short. We talked to a lot of filmmakers that do make shorts. This is, we're going to turn this into a feature. I would say about 50% of the people we talk to actually go through it. So what was the learning process? Is there any secrets you can share with our audience and with other filmmakers of how to be successful from taking a short into a feature film? What do you think the secret sauce for you was?
I think just like determination and resilience. You're right, it's so incredibly difficult to make your first feature. It feels almost impossible to make that leap from shorts to feature. And I think it was figuring out, just sort of not giving up, figuring out, like, piecing together the budget, like one little piece at a time, getting like $20,000 here, $30,000 here, because there was really never one company that was going to come in and give me like $2 billion to make this kind of a movie. Maybe 15 years ago or 20 years ago, but now these movies are really being made for sub 1 million. But still, that's a lot of money. So it was just not giving up, just putting it together piece by piece, slowly over a period of months. And I think also, if you're going to be a first-time feature director, like, figure out what you're willing to compromise on and what you're not willing to compromise on. And if you can sort of get the budget down a little bit, like even $100,000 or $200,000 less than what you'd originally imagined, and you can live with that, I think it's better to make your movie than not make it at all.
You touch on a lot of subjects in your film that are emotional. IVF is an emotional journey for a lot of families here in the United States and around the world. You talk about homelessness. So how did you prepare your cast for these sensitive topics? And talk to us about the self-care that you guys did as a crew, but also to yourself after the cameras were off and you were relaxing in the evening.
Oh, I love that you think that there was relaxing happening when the cameras were on.
I hope there was,
No, there was a lot of me driving back to my apartment and then like looking over the script and the shot list for the next day and preparing. So not too much relaxing, but I think it's because everyone came to this. There is sensitive subject matter, but everyone came to it, I think, from a good place. And the script also does have some humor in it. So it wasn't just like this really bleak, dreary movie about, a woman being, constantly like seeing a woman being abused. And there are dark moments, but I think finding the humor and leaning into kind of the playfulness between the brother and sister, that helped a little bit. So hopefully like the emotional journey the audience goes on ebbs and flows, so it's not overbearing or overwhelming to experience. And I think that also like the crew was able to like find some fun moments on set.
You talked about your sister, your real life sister. You have a pretty good relationship with her. Did you find that your relationship with her improved because of making this film and going through this journey and looking at, what other people go through, brothers and sisters?
I think so. I mean, I don't know if there was a lot that needed like improvement. My sister and I are like very, very close. We always have been. But she actually had directed a feature film years ago, and I think it was very valuable to be able to go to her and get her advice when I was sort of maybe frustrated or moments that I felt like weren't working out as well as I'd hoped, because it was such a long process, like writing the script, getting the financing, hiring the crew, pre-production, all of it. And she always has had my back and always been just, so incredibly supportive of my career. So not only her being in the entertainment industry, but also us being so close was it was a huge well of support for me.
Who was in the entertainment industry first, you or her?
Well, her, because she's 5 years older. So even when I was little, I was always watching her do plays. So I think I sort of always wanted to do that as well.
Awesome. You're taking this film on the film festival circuit. What has the conversations been with people you've shown this to at film festivals, but also to privately?
It's been really moving. I mean, honestly, because there's a few issues that the film covers. Obviously, homelessness. It sort of touches on domestic violence, single parenthood, and I think people maybe also because there are some moments of humor, like people feel like it's a little more recognizable to them. But absolutely, I was just at a film festival up in Mystic, Connecticut, and usually the Q&As after the film festival are like 10 minutes long. And it was almost an hour, and people, they wanted to share that parts of the film that they felt were relatable to their own lives, and it's really moving to me. Like if people are emotional or they want to share something personal about their own life with me after the film, whether that's part of the public Q&A or just privately, you want to make a film that people care about. So the fact that anyone seems to care about this film is it's very emotional.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the importance of film festivals. As a filmmaker, you could easily put out a film, upload to YouTube or Vimeo, or hopefully sell it to one of the streamers, and that's done. How important is it to show this to a live audience and have that real human connection? Talk to me about that as a filmmaker.
I think for a filmmaker, I think it's incredibly important because we make these films in such a little bubble. Not that you don't have collaborators, but like for me, because I'm a writer-director, as the writer, you spend so many months all by yourself, coming up with the film and writing the script, and then you get feedback on it, and that's sort of like your first audience. And then you're doing pre-production, and you're having conversations with your producer and your DP, and that's kind of your second audience. But you never really get to show it to the public until your first film festival. Like that is the first time people who don't know you give you immediate feedback on the film, whether that's laughter or sniffling and crying. It's immediate, and I think it teaches you how to be a better filmmaker. Maybe there's moments that you thought worked and then the audience doesn't respond, or there's moments that you hoped would work but you weren't sure, and the audience has a huge response. So it's all information that you can store away, hopefully that improves you as a filmmaker. But I think also because my background is in theater, like I've always loved theater as an audience member or even as a performer, and there is something really magical about human beings gathering in the dark together to witness a story. Like it's an event. It's something that is, I don't know, it's very profound. It's something
It's
kind
a
of
weird
ancient.
thing. I mean, it's a weird thing.
It's ancient, right? It's
You sit in a dark room with strangers.
Yeah.
That's really weird because you
And
would
it-
never ever sit, you're on a subway or you're on an airplane and you're with strangers, but we willingly go into a dark room sitting with strangers and watching flickers on a screen.
and we kind of go into it, and I think what the difference between, like we're all on a subway or something like that, you go into this environment like in sort of the receiving mode, right? Like people are here to receive a story, and we're so much more maybe open-hearted and open-minded because we're in the dark. It feels safe somehow. It feels magical. We let our imaginations really run free, the same way you do when you read, right? You're like it's just you and the page and your imagination, and I mean, it's almost like a kind of church.
Earlier you talked about, a minute ago, you talked about the sniffles and the laughter and the happiness and the sadness. I know you're one of those filmmakers that sit in the back of the theater. Has anything surprised you with the reactions of your film that you're like, oh, I'm really shocked about that, or oh, I knew that this was going to come?
Well, I will say some of the laughter has been very surprising and very gratifying. When I wrote the script, I thought there were moments that were sort of funny, but I almost thought they were funny like only to me, like they were sort of like almost in jokes I had with myself, and then seeing the audience. And originally, it's funny because when we were submitting it, we would classify it as a drama, but now lately I'm calling it a dramedy only because the audiences are laughing at certain moments, and that's great. I love that. There's nothing. I don't know if I'll ever make a full-on comedy, but there's something really special about being able to evoke laughter. It almost means more than tears.
Exactly. What are you working on next?
I am in post-production on my second feature, which could not be more different. It's a Victorian Gothic psychological thriller, so very, very different. But hopefully I'll finish up post-production by the end of this year, and it'll probably premiere sometime in 2024.
Awesome. What is the website and socials for this film that we're screening here at Naples, and then your production company, so you can follow your future successes?
Sure. So this film, Scrap, we're on Instagram at Scrap the Film and www.scrapthefilm.com. And then my production company is called Rue d'Anjou, and we are at ruedangeau.com.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.